Hello, folks. Well, there's. I'm going to do an observation on people that take one look at somebody. They never met them before, or they might just have had a superficial, just a little talk to them for 5-10 minutes or so, and somehow, from that, they can. It's as though they can get their life history. It's and then they've got to label people. I don't know if you've met people like that. I expect some of you have, where they've got to they take one look at somebody and go, oh, she's or he's really, yeah. And you think back in history when they had the witch hunts, you think, well, how could they have done that to people? Because I mean, there was millions rounded up, and you think, well, how could people have done that? And it's this what I call it, mislabelling disorder. It's where they got a label, or you could call it obsessive labelling disorder, where they've got to stick a label on even if they don't know the correct label to stick on. They got to go, I mean, we're talking about people who very often need help tying their shoelaces up, and I'm talking about ordinary people that are what I call normal people, if there's such a thing. But anyway, and it's amazing that they've got this obsession of putting people in these little boxes, isn't they? Oh, so and so's or they're a bunch of, or and they got these little labels on, and it's funny because when they meet somebody who's a decent person, and I've seen this myself, they say to you, oh, you don't smoke? I'll say no. You don't drink? I'll say no. I'll say I don't even drink tea or coffee. I'll say you don't. And then they say no. And they say, well, we must do something bad. And you're thinking, why? It's like, what, why? It's like, hold on, what sort of, if we're not all evil, we're not all like you then? Oh dear, oh that's a shame, isn't it? Well, that blows your... Well, I can be evil because everybody else is evil, so that's alright then. Oh damn, I found somebody who don't drink or smoke. Or, I mean, it's sort of kind of, I think it probably upsets them, because they're like, but I don't want to live like that. I like to get pissed, or I like to smoke myself silly, so perhaps they see you as a threat. I mean, I don't care if people want to drink and smoke, good luck to them. I don't give a monkeys. But I think people perhaps have got this fear that if everyone's not doing the same, then they'll be told they can't do it. And I suppose it's justified in a way, because, for example, you take smoking. Now, quite a long time ago, they was actually on the NHS. They was cigarettes was dished out like pharmaceuticals like today. Well, maybe not quite, but you could have them on the NHS, with National Health Service in the UK, that is. And now it's sort of like, no, banned. You can't smoke there, sir. You can't smoke here, sir. You can't. You can't do this, sir. And I suppose there's this. We've got this other lot suffering from control freak disorder, where they got to control everything, who can't seem to say, well, look, if there's people that want to smoke and drink, so long as they're not hurting anybody else, alright, okay, fair enough. And you might say, yeah, but if people are working in a pub and they don't smoke, and other people are smoking, and they've got to get their smoke from them. So I'm sort of going on a smoking rant here, anyway. But you say, well, look, it should be up to the landlord, or wherever it is. If it's in a company, it should be up to the company boss to say, right, if this is a no smoking restaurant, it's a no smoking restaurant. If it's a restaurant where they do allow smoking, which obviously they can't now, but they could have in the past, then say, yeah, okay, this restaurant will allow smoking. So if you go for a job interview and they say, well, this is a smoking restaurant, if you're a non-smoker, you should be able to turn around and say, look, sorry, I can't work here. Okay? Now, obviously, if it was if you was on the old rock and roll, on the dole, on getting the benefits, yeah, and they said, oh, you've got to go to this job for this restaurant job, pub job or whatever, and you got there and you said, oh, sorry, I can't take it. Now, normally, what they do is they say, oh, if you didn't accept a job and you was offered a job, then you lose your benefits. Now, obviously, all they do is something simple. Rather than spending billions and billions restricting where people can and can't smoke, it would be better to say, right, if somebody is going to try and work at a company where they are smoking and they don't want to work there, that's fair enough. If they're, as long as they're a non-smoker, yeah. I mean, if somebody comes along and finds them puffing 40 ciggies on the street corner after they just collected their benefit, you know, then it might be, you said you didn't want to work at that company because they had a smoking policy there, and you just got through two packets of whatever, 20. Hello. That's fair enough, but I think that's much better than a draconian sort of situation where it just sort of nanny state saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, and this is a sin and that's a sin. I mean, as I say, as long as people aren't hurting somebody else. I mean, if you worked at a company and they had a no smoking policy, and you went there and you knew it was a no smoking, well, fair enough. If you want a job and they don't allow smoking there, that's fair enough, isn't it? And they might be doing it for it might be at a petrochemical works, and you might say, oh, don't allow smoking, oh, that's a bit off, isn't it? It might be a good reason why they don't allow smoking, because there might not be a petrochemical works if they did. But on the other hand, if you went somewhere else where it might not be a problem, might it? You know? On the other hand, if you went somewhere where it was a non-smoking one, and then like a new owner took over and they started a policy where smoking was allowed, well, you could say, well, okay, if that affects your job, you either go and find another job, or you say, look, I need to work in an area where you're in. I mean, that's fair enough, isn't it? But to just ban carpet, that's it, not nowhere, it's a bit, I don't know quite how I got here from incorrect labelling, or my obsessive labelling disorder, but anyway, it's where the people have got to put other people in little labels, haven't they? And they very often get it wrong. That's what I'm saying, where I mention things like witch hunts. They very often get it wrong. and I might do another one on this one, because there's another one of my favourite. I'll do a part 2 on this one, my obsessive labelling disorder and people getting the wrong end of the stick, misinterpretation syndrome, as we call it. I'll start up a whole new keep the old psychiatrical types happy, won't it? Eh? Cheers.